Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode in our TNA series in TEW 2020. It is the go home episode of Impact for Genesis happening this Sunday. We've got a lot of big matches on that show. Samoa Joe will be defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Shelton Benjamin. We have the X Division Championship on the line as Jay Lethal will be going one-on-one with Adam Cole. We have the tag titles on the line as the rematch. The Briscoes defending their newly won championships against EC3 and Rockstar Spud, the former champions. We have the Knockouts Championship on the line as Velvet Sky defends against Evie. We have the Knockouts tag titles on the line as recent enemies Gail Kim and Serena Deeb team up to take on Io and Mio Shirai. We've got the tag team matchup with Beer Money versus the Wolves, where if Beer Money wins, then they get a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And we've got the I Respect You match between Cheer Melissa and Madison Rain. I think there's one or two other matches in there, but I don't remember what all I've already announced. So there's that. But it's the go home episode of Impact. So let's dive into it. We open them up in front of 5,918 people at the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts, with a segment that gets 72 rating. As D'Angelo, De Niro, and MVP make their way out to the ring, De Niro decides to kind of run down Austin Aries a little bit here, kind of running him down, saying that he's not the greatest man that ever lived. He's not better than the Pope, and that the Pope is going to prove it this Sunday at Genesis. As right off the bat, when I said that there was a few matches I couldn't remember if I announced or not, here's one of them that I didn't run down, as is going to be one-on-one D'Angelo, De Niro, and Austin Aries this Sunday at Genesis. This brings out Austin Aries, who says that he's not worried about D'Angelo De Niro. He's not worried about MVP or anything like that, because he knows that he's going to get the job done at Genesis, and that he is going to be able to get a victory over the Pope and maybe get himself in line for a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, since Samoa Joe is willing to accept any and all challengers. Almost as if his ears were burning, out comes Samoa Joe. Joe kind of looks at Aries, and then he looks at the ring, and he says, De Niro, MVP, can't help but notice that that the third member of your little group or posse or whatever you're calling yourselves aren't here. Where's Sheldon at? And they're like, well, Sheldon's arriving later tonight. He's the star. He's gonna be the TNA World Champion after this Sunday. He's the star of the group. So he'll be here when he gets here. He'll be the next TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and all will be right here in Impact, or here in TNA, that is. And after a little bit of back and forth, MVP and D'Angelo De Niro still kind of talking themselves up, and Joe just kind of looks over at Aries, says, I don't really like you. You don't really like me. But I don't like his punk ass mouth, pointing at D'Angelo De Niro. And I definitely don't like his mouth, pointing at MVP. Says, we're going to be right. We're going to do battle against each other in the ring at some point. But how about tonight? You and me team up against these two jokers. And Aries is like, yeah, sure. Let's go talk to Daredevil and get this made. Before De Niro and MVP can try to put up some sort of argument, Aries and Joe are off to the back to go talk to Daredevil. 72 rating for the segment, as spoiler alert, it does end up becoming the main event. It is Austin Aries and Samoa Joe taking on D'Angelo, De Niro, and MVP in tag team action. There will not be any segments with Daredevil on screen this week, because I felt like last week we had a few too many. Suddenly put a bunch of matches together for Genesis, so Daredevil's going to take a week off on screen wise. but there you go. So this is our tag team match for the main event, which should be interesting. De Niro and Austin and Aries are supposed to be going at it. De Niro and MVP's partner, stablemate, whatever you want to call it, Shelton Benjamin, is going to be challenging Joe for the world title. So big implications in that main event here tonight. Then we get a 66 rated matchup to start off the in-ring portion of the show that sees Abyss defeat Tigre Uno in 9:29 by pinfall to Black Hole Slam. 46 from Tigre Uno, 65 from Abyss. Essentially, this is basically just, Tigre Uno does have a bit of offense in this, actually. He actually is, he actually is trying to put up a fight, but essentially this is, this is basically just, hey, look, Abyss is really good now that he's part of the K and not having to worry about being part of Team Dixie anymore. Which, Team Dixie, of course, has been kind of falling apart recently. So Abyss kind of, it's kind of the way of, showing that Abyss can actually still survive on his own, or not on his own, but he can still survive and do really well, but he just needed to get away from Team Dixie. So nice victory here for Abyss to open up Impact this week. After that, Madison Rayne has a backstage promo. It's kind of one of those pre-tape promos where she says that she's going to have to be in a contest this Sunday against somebody who's been demanding her respect for quite some time. And to be fair, she gave her some respect. But the way that Melissa's been acting since then, maybe she's not worthy of Madison Rayne's respect. Maybe she's not worthy of being respected by Madison Rayne. Maybe Cheerleader Melissa needs to learn to respect Madison Rayne. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe she'll have to make sure that Cheerleader Melissa says it this Sunday to make sure that Madison Rayne gets a victory and to make sure that Cheerleader Melissa knows that you can demand all you want in this business, but respect is earned, not demanded. And she's going to earn everyone's respect, or she's going to have to earn everybody's respect this Sunday if she wants to be respected at all. But Rayne doesn't see it happening that way. 61 rating here. Good stuff there for her. She is one of the few women in our company that can cut a pretty decent promo, so it's good to see that we got that from her. Immediately following that up, we have a promo from Cheerleader Melissa. It's one of those things that they didn't see each other's promos. They're both pre-taped promos. They didn't see each other's promos ahead of time. So Melissa says that since she's coming here to TNA, all she's wanted is just respect. She's wanted the respect that she's earned, that she's rightfully earned in this wrestling business for over a decade now. She says that people like Madison Rayne, like Velvet Sky, the current Knockouts champion, like so many others here in TNA, there wouldn't be a spot for them in professional wrestling if it wasn't for the likes of Cheerleader Melissa. She says that she is the pioneer of women's wrestling. She is the pioneer. She's the one that took women's wrestling from being let's look at the pretty ladies to, oh my God, they can actually compete with them, just as good, if not as better than the men in the ring. And she demands the respect that she deserves, and she will make sure Madison Rayne respects her after this Sunday. So 51 rating here, as we get some pretty good promos for that matchup happening at Genesis. Then we get a 51 rated contest that sees Jimmy Jacobs defeat Ted McNaylor in 6:28 by submission with an and time. This was honestly just Ted McNaylor was honestly just someone who came in on a local talent one night deal just to put over Jimmy Jacobs. Jimmy Jacobs, I haven't really had a whole lot going for him at the moment since he lost the tag titles, because Colt Cabana kind of went up to kind of that upper mid-card main event level, but Jimmy Jacobs has just kind of been there. So Jacobs with the victory here, though. Still, still looking pretty decent at this time, but nice victory for him here on Impact. Then after that, Team Dixie, they do not come to the ring. They're backstage. EC3 and Rockstar Spud, the former tag team champions, they get a microphone, or they're on camera, and they say that a couple weeks ago in Impact, one of the biggest travesties that could ever happen happened when they had those tag team titles unjustly taken away from them, and that this Sunday they are going to rectify that injustice that is, by winning those championships back, taken away from those redneck hillbilly boys, the Briscoes. They say that they are going to get those championships back, and things will be back to normal with Team Dixie once again. And wouldn't you know it, the Briscoes have a promo right afterwards, which actually gets a little bit better of a rating than an EC3 Rockstar Spud promo, which I think Spud probably brought that on a little bit, but still. But the Briscoes say that they're here in a short amount of time. They've only been here for a few months and they're already the TNA World Tag Team Champions. They say that they won't be stopped by the likes of EC3 and Rockstar Spud. They're gonna take on the best that this company has to offer and prove why they are one of the, if not the best tag teams in professional wrestling. They've proven it in ROH. They've proven it in Jersey All Pro Wrestling. They've proven it everywhere else they've gone. And here they are proving it right now as not only being the TNA Tag Team Champions, but continuing to be so after this Sunday at Genesis. So it's pretty good words there, hyping up that matchup this Sunday. Then we got a 40 rated matchup. I knew this wasn't going to do super great because they're both unimportant status, but I need to get them a little more popular. So that's why we put them on Impact. And we can easily make up for it when the show goes on. But about the subpar wrestling, little heat, Kana defeats Kairi Hojo in 751 by submission with the Kanagon. 40 for the match. 50 from Kana, 39 from Kairi Hojo. Just a really good, hard-hitting back and forth matchup between these two that goes about 8 minutes. Sees Kana get the victory. Kana's been undefeated. I mean, she's been mostly working on Explosion, obviously, but she's undefeated here in TNA so far, and she's it's one of those things that's like now she's going to start showing up on Impact because now they're starting to notice like, oh shoot, we might have a potential star on our hands here in the women's division kind of thing. So, but Kana gets the victory here over Kairi in a hard fought matchup, and we'll have to see what goes on with for both of them heading forward. Then we get a backstage segment. Gets 51 rating. Didn't advance the story. Did I end that? I don't remember if I ended that storyline off screen or not. But it didn't advance the storyline, so anyway. We see Brian Kendrick backstage. He's kind of disappointed. He's been losing a few matches recently. When Paul London approaches him, says, "Look, man, I get it. Losing streaks can be rough. We've all been there. I was X Division champion last year and haven't really had a shot at the championship since then. I haven't quite felt the same. But hey, it's the wrestling business. Like you and I both know it. You have your ups, you have your downs. We both know it from our days teaming together, from our days working against each other, all that kind of stuff." Kendrick's like, "You don't get it, man. Like, I can't get a victory. I can't. So, like, why do you keep trying to bring me back to be this tag team if I can't hold up my end of the bargain? If I can't hold up my end of things, if I can't be the tag team partner that you need me to be, that you want me to be, then why do you keep coming back? Why do you keep trying to make this happen? Why do you keep trying to make this whole Brian Kendrick or Paul London thing happen? It's not going to happen. I can't hold up my end of the bargain anymore. I keep losing. I keep, dropping the ball. Maybe you just need to go find someone else. Maybe you need to find somebody else to team up with or find something, get back to the X Division title or whatever. And just let me kind of do what I'm going to be doing, which is consistently losing at this point." London kind of, isn't sure what to say here, and Kendrick just kind of walks away. So, interesting to see is Kendrick's kind of, he's considering himself a loser right now, which, to be fair, he's lost a few matches in a row here. So, but he's kind of disappointed. We'll have to see where things go with that. We get a 59 rated matchup, not too bad, as Zima Ion gets a victory over Juice Robinson in 9:59 by pinfall at the Filipino Destroyer. 56 from Ion, 41 from Juice Robinson. This match was basically just a way for Zima to get some momentum back after the loss last week to Adam Cole. Granted, it was, number one contendership for the X Division title, but it was basically just a way for Ion to kind of bounce back and get some momentum back on his side again. A 56 in-ring performance. He's definitely someone who is kind of a top contender for the X Division championship. Maybe not, a consistent contender, but definitely a top contender for it. There's that. And then at the same time, we got Juice Robinson, on TV, getting him some more attention. Is he, not really doing as much with him as he was doing in NXT before he came here, but we're starting to get him there. We got to get the popularity going a little bit. He's been on Explosion a little bit here and there, kind of slowly building him up to get him to, to a decent point here in the company. Then we have Christy Hemme in the ring, and she brings out Velvet Sky. who, TNA Knockouts champion, who's going to be defending the title this Sunday against the ultimate underdog, if you will, Evie. Velvet says that she says that Christy needs to be thanking her. Everybody here needs to be thanking Velvet for being the greatest Knockouts champion in the company's history. And she goes to say something else, but Christy's like, but hold on, this isn't just, an interview with you, Velvet. This is also an interview with this person. And then out comes Evie, and Velvet's not happy about the fact that she has to share this time with Evie. And Chrissy, asks Evie what her thoughts are about this matchup this Sunday. And Evie says, listen, I get it. Everybody sees me as the big underdog. I'm the come from behind person. I'm the person that, nobody predicts is going to get a chance to win. But I'm going to bring everything I have with me, not just my support for my fans, not just the, friendship that I have with Candice LeRae or whatever, but like I'm going to bring everything I have in me to try to win that championship this Sunday. And Velvet just kind of laughs about this and says, you can bring everything you have, but it's going to be like swatting away a mosquito. I'm going to defeat you with ease. And then, hopefully next time, Maria and whoever else, is making sure that number one contenders matches are happening, hopefully it'll make sure that next time I have a legitimate challenger instead of this little pest that you are. A little bit of argument back and forth before the segment comes to an end. So kind of hyping up, giving it a little bit more build up for the match this Sunday for the Knockouts Championship. Can Evie pull off the upset, or will Velvet Sky, who has been dominant the last 6 months or so, can she continue her domination here in TNA? Then after that, we get a 62 rated matchup. This sees Rhino defeat Gunner in 637 by pinfall to Gore. This was basically just, hey, look, it's Rhino. He likes to fight people, and he wins matches. They're kind of hyping up the House of Truth here, but Rhino doesn't have a match this Sunday. But he gets a victory here over Gunner. 56 from Rhino, 47 from Gunner. This, peeking back behind the curtain, fourth wall breaking, so to speak. I needed a wild brawl match, and these two have decent wild brawl skills. Probably not super great wild brawl, but decent enough that they were able to do that. So there's that. But Rhino gets a victory here, and we move on from that. Then we get backstage, and we see that Charles Betts and Kurt Hennig are actually hanging out still. They're actually, backstage talking in the locker room. We're not really like catching anything that's being said. But it's one of those things that, like Kurt's kind of like, Kurt clearly looks like he's going through some motions for a move or two, and Betts is kind of like trying to copy it kind of thing, almost as if basically Kurt's kind of giving some advice and some tips to Charles Betts. So might be seeing some sort of mentorship with these two men heading forward. We'll have to see what that leads to. But 56 rating here as we get this little segment there. Then we get a tag team matchup that sees Gail Kim and Serena Deeb defeat Allie and Santana Garrett in 9:29 when Deeb pinned Allie with a spear. 53 rating for the match. 53 from Deeb and Kim. 38 from Santana Garrett. 36 from Allie. Gained heat for the storyline going on with Kim and Deeb. Kim and Deeb. Apparently, I just made their tag team name their Kib or Keeb. But yeah, it's basically it was basically just a preview matchup to see how they were, Maria kind of made the matchup to kind of see how these two would act as a tag team. Of course, they're going to be challenging for the Knockouts tag team titles this Sunday. And so it's their way of, kind of seeing if Gail Kim and Serena Deeb could actually work as a tag team. And, they had some issues with each other throughout the match. Gail Kim might have got a little too anxious with a tag and kind of blind tagged her way in, and Deeb wasn't too happy about it and all that kind of stuff. They had a little bit of miscommunication stuff, but it wasn't enough to cost them the matchup as they get the victory, getting some momentum ahead of the Knockouts tag title matchup this Sunday. Speaking of the Knockouts tag team champions, they have a promo right afterwards. She gets a 40 rating. It's all right. But the Sexy Purple Thunder Sisters are interviewed by Christy Hemme, who talk about Gail Kim and Serena Deeb. They say that, they're not too worried about these two challenging them for their titles because they can't get along that well. Whereas, Io and Mio, like they've had disagreements in the past. They've had matches against each other in the past, but they are sisters. They, know each other really well, and they will retain their championships. So that's kind of the story behind that matchup is Io and Mio Shirai wanting to prove that they are worthy of holding the Knockouts tag titles. Gail Kim and Serena Deeb, well, Gail Kim at least, trying to prove that she can be besties with Serena Deeb, and Serena Deeb just kind of very uncertainly going along with the ride of this whole thing. So there you go. We'll have to see how things play out this Sunday. Then we get a 74 rated matchup, which was it got mentioned by the commentators that this was put together because Magnus had complained to Daredevil again about not getting any competition around here, and Daredevil had told him that there's another person around here who wants competition, who wants some more fights, and that is Chris Hero. So this match got booked, and in 12.5 minutes, in a 74 rated matchup, Magnus defeats Chris Hero in 12:31 by pinfall with a Tormentum thanks to Mickie James interfering. 68 from Magnus, 55 from Chris Hero. A very good rating for this matchup, despite the fact that their in-ring performances were not as good. So, it's a lot of outside things that's helped out with this. But there you go, 74 rating as Magnus does get a victory, but it's tainted. So Chris Hero can, kind of hang his head on the fact that he may have lost by pinfall, but it was because of Mickie James' interference that cost him the match. So we'll have to see if a rematch ends up happening sometime in the future, or we'll have to see where things go with both of these men heading forward. Then we get a 58 rated segment, which I was hoping for a little bit better, but I guess to be fair, I rated Richards and Edwards on entertainment as well, so that probably didn't help things. Then again, if I remember right, Beer Money didn't do the greatest with a promo the other day either. But anyway, Bobby Roode and James Storm are in the ring, talking about how after this Sunday, they are going to have a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship and bring the gold to Beer Money. This brings out Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, who says that that in order for them to get that shot, they have to actually defeat them, which they don't think they can do. They don't think that Beer Money can beat them. They may have lost before to them, but they don't think they can beat them again because now they've learned, they've evolved, they've upgraded, and now they are able to take, they know what Beer Money are going to bring to the table, and they know what they have to do to beat them. After some back and forth between both teams, there does end up being a brawl happening as security hit the ring to try to break things up. But there's a little bit of, some fist exchange and all that stuff heading into the match this Sunday. Got a 58. Davey didn't do well without a script to follow. Whatever. But so this Sunday, Beer Money versus the American Wolves. If Beer Money win, they get a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. We'll have to see what happens with that. Then we get a tag team matchup, kind of hyping up, or kind of a preparation match for the X Division title matchup this Sunday, as Adam Cole and the former X Division champion Roderick Strong defeat Kenny King and Jay Lethal on 53, when Strong pinned Kenny King with a double knee gutbuster. Kenny King was a weak link, he had a 45. 65 from Lethal, 66 from Strong, and 55 from Adam Cole. This was essentially, Cole and Lethal didn't end up in the final decision of the matchup, so it keeps them kind of somewhat strong heading into the match against each other this Sunday. Roderick gets a victory, so he's continuing to impress and to get better here in TNA. And it gave Kenny King something to do since Rhett Titus is dealing with that injury. It gave Kenny King something to do in the ring. There you go. So, House of Truth not getting the job done here against Future Shock, as Future Shock gets the win. It gets the win in this battle, but the war continues on as Adam Cole, and Jay Lethal are going to be going at it for the X Division Championship this Sunday at Genesis. Then we get a 71 rated segment where AJ Styles and Colt Cabana are backstage talking to each other, kind of, talking some kind of discussing some things. When Bad Influence show up, Styles and Cabana kind of prepare for a possible brawl, but, Daniels and Kazarian are like, hey, we're not going to fight kind of thing. Daniels just says that, listen, we've heard it's official. You two versus us two at Genesis. We wish that we could say we were worried. We wish that we could say that we were that we had any sort of worriness about this upcoming matchup. But let's be honest here. AJ, we've known you for years. We know you like the back of our hands. We know how to beat you. And as for you, Colt, well, you're a nobody. Sure, you're a former TNA World Tag Team Champion, but you're a nobody. You're nothing. You're just a comedy dude, just a goofy guy. And also, I beat you just a few weeks ago in Impact anyway, so I know how to beat you. This is Daniel speaking, of course. And so AJ goes to step up to say something, but Colt just kind of puts his hand on AJ's chest and kind of steps up to Daniels himself and says, listen, you may think of me as a comedy guy. You may think of me as, oh, he's so funny, ha ha ha, and he's nothing to be taken seriously in this business. But I'm Colt Cabana. And you need to be taking me seriously. And this Sunday, I'm going to prove that I deserve to be in the same match as you three. That I deserve to be on the level of the top tier talent here in TNA. Hell, that maybe I deserve a shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And Colt walks off. And then AJ just kind of looks back at Bad Influence and kind of shrugs and says, looks like you might be underestimating him, before walking off after him. So we'll have to see what happens this Sunday with that tag team matchup. Can Bad Influence defeat the not as familiar with each other team of Colt Cabana and AJ Styles? Or will either Styles get a somewhat expected victory, or will Colt Cabana be able to pull off the surprise by getting the victory himself? We'll have to see. And then the main event gets a 72 rating. Kind of expected that, honestly. It's about that had great heat and good wrestling. Austin Aries and Samoa Joe defeat D'Angelo Dinero and MVP in 12:41 when Joe pinned MVP with a muscle buster. Joe carried the matchup. He had a 78, 65 from Aries, 66 from Dinero, and 62 from MVP. 72 rating for the match itself. Joe pins MVP, so it keeps Dinero and Aries separate from the decision ahead of their matchup this Sunday. And Joe gets some more momentum ahead of his match where he's defending the title against Shelton Benjamin this Sunday. So there you go. That's how we end Impact, with Joe and Aries celebrating the victory. And going from there. That's our go home Impact for Genesis. The show itself gets a 71 rating. Oof. We lost popularity in 9 regions. Oof-a-doof. That's all right, though. We'll bounce back. It's not a strong go-home show, but we'll bounce back. Not worried about it. It did increase our popularity in 9 regions as well, though, so there's that. But, yeah, some of the people who would have been competing on a normal basis weren't. Or, some of the people who would get us better matches, that is, weren't competing. I mean, we had, AJ Styles was in a backstage promo. Same with Daniel. Same with Cabana. Same with Kurt. All that kind of stuff, so... But it's still good. I'm not going to complain about it. Honestly, I don't think anybody else can complain about it. It's still a 71 rated show, which is still good. It's still one of our better shows we've had, even if it did lose its popularity. And it's it's a good show. It's a good way to get us somewhere, that kind of thing. If we flip back over here, we have Explosion to look at. They got 56, as we saw Eric. We saw the Strong South Thugs, Eddie Kingston, and Homicide defeat the Von Erichs to a 50 rated matchup. The Von Erichs actually debuted their new manager in this matchup, who is none other than Taryn Terrell. I don't really have a lot for her outside of putting heels over at times, because she's just not that good of an in-ring worker. But she could be a pretty decent promo, and teaming her up with the Von Erichs, who, if we get some momentum behind them, maybe in a year or two, could potentially be a name in the tag team division. So, not too bad there, but Strong South Thugs get the victory here. Paul London defeated Jesse on Explosion as well. We had a segment with Kenny King and Shaul Guerrero where Kenny King kind of expressed a little bit of disappointed and frustration, kind of worry, a little bit of worry as well, because he feels like he's not holding up his end of the bargain for the House of Truth after losing on Impact. We saw Mickie James defeat Hikaru Shida. I was kind of keeping Shida undefeated, except for a few weeks ago when she lost to Kana. But, not the idea here being she put up a hell of a fight against, someone the name of Mickie James. So she's still looking good, but she couldn't get a job done against Mickie James, which this one was also in a tainted victory as well. I think it was Magnus interfered in the matchup that allowed Mickie to win, so he still keeps Shida strong. And then there was a pretty good main event for the show as Chris Sabin defeated Peter Williams. Good back and forth matchup there. Of course, Emergency Machine Gun's not really having a lot to do when it comes to Genesis because London Kenner kind of blew up and they haven't really had anything else show up yet. But Sabin had a match here on Explosion, and we might hear from the Guns at Genesis. We'll see. Ratings for the night: 3.6 million people watching Impact, which got 71. NXT had a 48. Oof. The Suffering defeated the Revival in the main event. Poor Revival. You're losing to these two. That's a thing. Also, we have a new NXT Women's Champion as Paula Buonatello defeated Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championship. Paula, who is a game created character, uses the Night Face Crush as a finisher. For those who have watched my Twitch streams, you know that I do get some enjoyment out of looking at the created finisher names for game created characters. She has been there. She's a rookie. She just entered wrestling literally last week. She entered wrestling last week. Went to NXT, and her very first matchup, she pulls off an upset and defeats Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championship. Tell me you're pushing her to the moon. Even though she only has a 45 star quality. Tell me you're pushing her to the moon. My God. But, yeah, there's that. So, a brand new rookie in her very first match actually defeats Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's Championship. Also, there are like 4 women's matches on the show, which is crazy to see. FIP had a 64 overall. Their main event was Mr. Anderson D'Lo Brown defeating Davey Richards at Homicide. Dave Bautista working there, putting over Johnny Vandal. So there's that, putting over a younger guy there in FIP. We also had Ring of Honor, which got a 56. Saw Bully Ray defeat Scott Steiner and Matt Hardy in the main event. So there's that. But yeah, this Sunday, Genesis, a lot of every title on the line, a lot of interesting stuff happening, a lot of potential upsets, a lot of potential interesting things about to happen on that show. So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for watching. For this series, we will see you this Sunday for Genesis 2015, and on the channel, we'll see you tomorrow for yet another video.